At our family dinner, my daughter-in-law revealed something hidden. I've changed 10 lives in 25 years. The Sunday dinner was in full swing, with the rich smell of Sarah's homemade pot roast filling every corner of her cozy Midwestern home. The table was set, adorned with mismatched plates that held memories of family gatherings past. Laughter bubbled over like the gravy warming on the stove, a hearty echo of togetherness. But Sarah could feel a storm brewing, the kind of storm that made even the strongest pot roast seem uninviting. When Kim arrived, the energy shifted. With her designer clothes and perfectly curated life, she was the uninvited guest of privilege at Sarah's table of struggle. Tension coiled tightly like the string on a forgotten Christmas present, ready to snap. As they passed the mashed potatoes around, the mood changed. The chatter faded, replaced by murmurs about hard work versus advantages handed down over a silver spoon. Not everyone gets their success gifted to them, Kim, Sarah said, a tremor in her voice as she fought to keep her emotions in check. Kim, ever composed, opened her mouth to counter. I've dedicated my life to helping others, she began. But her words trailed off, encased in an ice-cold silence. And then, like a lightning bolt cutting through a heavy sky, she dropped her bombshell. For 25 years, I've funded community programs that have changed 10 lives, including yours, Sarah. A wave crashed over the room, pulling Sarah under. The pride she felt for her community quickly morphed into something darker. Resentment bubbled up, black and roiling. Kim held the power, the keys to their futures. How had Sarah not known? Anger and hurt mixed like oil and water in her chest, making it hard to breathe. This wasn't just about the money. This was about worth and struggle. While you've been busy fixing lives with your money, I've been raising my daughter alone, working 3 jobs just to scrape by. Sarah yelled, emotion spilling over. Eyes widened, stunned silence settled around the table like a thick fog. The depth of unrecognized sacrifices collided, and suddenly they were all exposed. Lily, sensing the rising tension, looked from her mother to Kim with big, questioning eyes. Is money really the only measure of help? She asked softly, her innocence cutting through the noise. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Their family had always valued grit, the triumph of hard work. But this wasn't merely a disagreement. It was an emotional battleground, each now carrying their own narratives of resilience and sacrifice. Voices rose and fell like waves while betrayal and misunderstanding floated in the air. Sarah felt her heart pounding in her chest, a drumming of doubt. Is it possible to help without taking away their choice? She asked, staring into Kim's eyes, searching for an answer that felt somehow elusive. Just as a glimmer of understanding sparked amid all the chaos, Kim leaned in, her voice trembling but steady. I thought I was doing good. But I see there's a line, it's blurred. And I didn't want to cross it. Hadn't Kim's actions changed lives? And yet, had they driven a wedge deeper into the heart of the family? The questions lingered, heavy and unanswered, like a thick mist as Sarah wrestled with her emotions. Would they emerge from this evening forever altered? Or was there a chance to bridge this widening chasm? Time would tell, but tonight felt uncertain, and the weight of their untold stories sat uneasily on the edge of every plate. The air was thick with unresolved tension, hanging over the table like the fog that often crept in on quiet Midwestern mornings. Sarah could only stare at Kim, her mind racing. She needed an answer, a way to untangle this mess of emotions. The silence was deafening, the earlier laughter now just echoes of a happier time. Lily looked from her mother to Kim, her little hands clasped in her lap. Mom, do you really think money means everything? Her voice was surprisingly calm, a small island of peace in the storm. The innocence in her words struck Sarah like a light in the darkness. It was a question larger than the dinner table, a query that hinted at deeper truths they were all avoiding. Kim glanced at Lily and then back to Sarah, her composure faltering. No, sweetheart. Money. It's just one way to help. But it doesn't define the worth of the person receiving it. Her expression softened, revealing a hint of vulnerability. I see that now. I see your struggle, Sarah. Tears threatened to spill from Sarah's eyes. The vulnerability in Kim's voice was unexpected, almost disarming. But did you care to look before? Did you ever ask what help really means to us? Sarah's words felt like knives, sharp and pointed but necessary. They needed to cut through the layers of misunderstanding. I thought that helping financially would be enough, Kim confessed, her eyes shimmering with a mix of regret and shame. I never wanted to overshadow your efforts, Sarah. I never realized I was doing more harm than good. As the words hung between them, the rest of the family exchanged cautious glances, unsure of how to navigate this unexpected turn of events. The confrontation had awakened something dormant within them. But would it be enough to sweep away the years of passive resentment? Helping is more than just writing checks, Sarah said, her voice steadying as she pushed through her own hurt. It's about being present. It's about understanding who the people are behind the struggle. Lily's big eyes widened, absorbing the weight of the argument as if it were a lesson in bravery. Kim nodded slowly, her hands clasped tightly together. I always thought I was making a difference. But I realize now that I was only skimming the surface. The room began to warm again. A soft thawing of the ice that had formed over years of disparity and misunderstandings. Yet, Sarah couldn't shake the nagging thought, had Kim really changed lives? Or had she only bandaged wounds without understanding the pain? Maybe we can find a way to work together, Kim suggested tentatively, her voice cautious yet hopeful. If we combine what I can offer with the understanding you have of our community, we could do real good. The glimmer of possibility flickered in Sarah's heart, but doubt raised its voice. Could they really shift their perspectives enough to collaborate, or would old wounds fester again? Lily bounced in her chair, a beacon of innocence. That would be awesome. We could help so many more people if we worked together. Her excitement was contagious, cutting through the remaining tension as laughter began to bubble back. It felt tentative, like a fragile flower pushing its way through concrete. But Sarah's mind was still racing, contemplating whether this new journey could indeed heal more than just the community's wounds, but also the rifts in their family. Can they transform resentment into collaboration? The questions echoed, setting the stage for a deeper exploration of their connection. What came next would define not only their family but the impact they could make together. Would they unite in purpose? Or would their past keep them at odds? Sarah's heart raced as she took a deep breath, trying to quell the storm of emotions inside her. Lily's words had breathed life back into the discussion, but doubt still whispered in her mind. What if this was just another fleeting moment of hope, a mirage in the desert of their relationship? Let us not rush everything, she said slowly, her voice steady but careful. We can brainstorm ideas, but we have to make sure we approach this with the right intentions. Can't be just about fixing problems with money. Kim nodded, appearing to absorb her words. Yet the vulnerability on her face made Sarah ache. I know it can't just be money. I want to learn. I want to help in meaningful ways. The sincerity in Kim's voice cut through the tension, drawing Sarah in. I appreciate that, Kim, Sarah replied softly. But it's not just going to be easy. We've had this wall between us for years. It's about more than just our strategies, it's about trust. I get that, Kim said, her eyes locked on Sarah's. I need to prove myself to you. I want you to see that I'm committed to this. To us. Lily clapped her hands, breaking the heavy air. We can make a plan. We can come up with community events, maybe fundraisers that actually engage the people we're trying to help. People want to feel connected, not just receive a check. Exactly, Kim exclaimed, her enthusiasm igniting once more. We could have workshops, cooking classes, whatever it takes to bring people together. Sarah couldn't help but join in, envisioning a flicker of possibility. What if we hosted a community day at the park? A day where families can share meals, activities, and stories? We can encourage people to volunteer, get more families involved. Yes, and we could get local businesses to donate supplies. Make it a true community effort, Kim added, her cheeks flushed with excitement as the two women spoke, ideas flying back and forth. Sarah felt the embers of hope bubbling beneath the surface. The tension that had once seemed insurmountable was morphing into something productive, something that felt like promise. Lily bounced in her chair, caught up in the momentum. Sarah glanced at her daughter, their little angel, who was now the heart holding them together. You really think we can make a difference, Lily? Yes, Lily shouted, beaming. If we can all work together, we can help everyone feel loved and important. For a moment, the air thick with uncertainty transformed into one of possibility. Laughter erupted again, light and airy, a bright contrast to the heavy moments before. But as they brainstormed, an echo of reality still loomed in Sarah's mind. Could they truly bridge the gap that had divided them for so long? Or would the shadows of the past re-emerge when they faced the challenges ahead? As their conversations unfolded, Sarah caught Kim's eye, and it sent a jolt of understanding through her. The connection between them was fragile, like a thread straining under pressure. In that moment, Sarah knew they needed to dig even deeper. Kim, if we do this together, we have to be completely honest with one another. We can't just avoid the hard topics. We have to face the past to truly move forward. Agreed, Kim said, her voice steady but filled with determination. I'm ready for the hard conversations. They both knew it wouldn't be easy. They had so much to unpack, and the path ahead was uncertain. But with a flicker of hope ignited between them, they were willing to try. As they began mapping out their plans, the conversation flowed, weaving a tapestry of visions both vibrant and daunting. With every laugh and every hope shared, Sarah felt their connection strengthening. But just as a new excitement began to root itself in their plans, an unexpected voice pulled them back, the sound of the door creaking open. It was James, Kim's husband and Sarah's son. His expression was clouded with concern, and he carried news that would soon radiate through the room like a thunderclap. I'm sorry to interrupt, he said, eyes darting to the animated group, but you're not going to believe what I just heard. James stepped into the room, words hanging heavy in the air. Everything about him seemed charged with urgency. His hands, usually relaxed, were clenched tight at his sides, and his brow furrowed as if he was wrestling with the words that were about to spill out. What is it? Sarah asked, her heart quickening. There's been a situation at the community center. A family facing eviction. They need help like right now. His voice quivered, and it pierced through the hopeful ambience that had been building only moments earlier. What? Kim shot up from her chair. What do you mean? James took a step closer, his gaze flickering between the two women. I overheard a discussion just now while I was picking up some supplies. It's serious and they're feeling like no one cares. They're losing everything. Sarah felt a lump form in her throat. This was the harsh reality they had been dancing around, the very issue they wanted to address. Kim inhaled sharply, her excitement deflating like a balloon. What can we do? Lily's innocent voice chimed in, manifesting the hope that seemed to slip away. She looked from James to Sarah and Kim, yearning for direction, her eyes wide with concern. We can't just sit here. We need to help, Sarah asserted, determination flaring up. We can rally our ideas into action. This is exactly why we wanted to do this. Kim nodded vigorously, her initial panic morphing into resolve. We can organize a fundraiser. Right away. We can gather supplies, reach out to local folks, anyone willing to pitch in. Exactly, James replied, now fired up. I'll get the contact information for the family. They've got a couple of kids and they've been through enough. Without wasting another moment, Sarah felt the weight of the conversation shift. The excitement from earlier ignited once more, intertwining with a sense of urgency. They began throwing ideas back and forth, words rushing out in a flurry. What if we set up an online campaign? Kim suggested. Make a GoFundMe and share it everywhere. Utilize social media. Yes, we can even set up a donation drop-off at the park on our community day, right? While we're pushing for more involvement, Lily added, her energy infectious. Sarah could see the pieces falling into place, and for the first time, she felt the surf of anxiety recede. They could do this. Together, they could actually move mountains. Every face lit with purpose. They began to outline steps, split tasks, and put their feelings into action. But as they talked, Sarah felt something shift in her. A deeper understanding that this was more than just a project. It was about a family in need. A family who for so long had felt invisible. Just as they began building a sense of direction, James's phone buzzed. It interrupted the momentum in the room, a quick reminder that reality waited outside their conversation. He frowned as he glanced at the screen. What's up? Sarah asked, concern flickering through her. I have to take this. It might be about the family. He stepped into the hallway, leaving the three women buzzing with energy and anticipation as the seconds ticked into minutes. That anxiety returned, creeping into the corners of Sarah's mind. What would the family say? Would they even be willing to accept help? She glanced at Kim, who was busy jotting down ideas faster than Sarah could process. "This feels real, doesn't it?" Sarah asked, almost breathless. "Yes," Kim replied, a spark in her eyes. "But what if we fail? What if they don't want us in their lives?" A weight settled on Sarah's chest. The fear of failure loomed. But deep down she knew they had to try. They were ready to break down those walls, to show people they cared. Before Sarah could respond, James emerged from the hallway, his expression stormy. "We need to talk. Now." Her stomach twisted. "What happened?" "I just spoke with the family's neighbor. There's a twist. They're not just struggling with rent, it's much more complicated than that." What he revealed next would change everything again. "Mom, you need to sit down. You won't believe who's involved." Sarah's heart raced as she braced herself for the revelation. She could see the tension in James's shoulders, learned unease carving lines into his brow. "What do you mean?" she pressed, urgency twisting her words. James took a deep breath and looked into the eyes of each person in the room, searching for strength. The family, they're tied to something bigger. Much bigger. The father, as he paused, his voice barely above a whisper. He's a whistleblower. He was about to expose corruption in the local housing authority. Silence fell thick and sticky. Sarah's mind spun. Corruption? What does that mean for them? It means they're in danger. If he goes public, it could ruin everything for their family. They're not just facing eviction, they're being targeted. The ramifications hung heavy in the air, infecting their newfound resolve with doubt. Kim blinked, visibly shaken. "So they might not want help? What if we put them at more risk?" James's expression hardened. "We can't think like that. We have to help them." He took a step forward. Hands splayed out as if to anchor them against the storm brewing in their minds. Lily's brow creased with concern as she listened, trying to grasp the weight of it all. "But how can we? What if they don't trust us?" Sarah felt a wave of determination wash over her, powering through her fear. "They won't trust us if we don't try. If we don't show them that we believe them, we're just leaving them in the dark." "That's right," James nodded, his gaze sharpening. "We've got to make contact. I think if we're honest about who we are and our intentions, we can break through the walls they've built." Kim took a breath, nodding as hope crept back. "Okay, we need to plan this. We need to be organized but act quickly before they are forced out. Let us prioritize getting them the help they need while keeping them safe," Sarah encouraged, her voice steadying the group. "We can start by contacting the local legal aid. They'll know exactly what to do." Minutes turned into an hour as they pored over possibilities, brainstorming different approaches, rifling through legal resources, and laying the groundwork for the fundraiser. Each suggestion sparked something fresh, igniting a newfound fire to fight back against the injustice. As the clock ticked on, Sarah realized just how deeply she was invested in this family she'd yet to meet. Each idea of comfort, each act of solidarity, felt like a stepping stone toward building a bridge of trust. But as she tucked a stray hair behind her ear, the thought nagged at her. Would it be enough? Could they truly face down the challenges that loomed ahead? Just then, James received another message on his phone. He frowned, reading intently before looking up with urgency. It's from the father he's agreed to meet. He wants to discuss things in person, no cameras, just us. Hope mingled with anxiety in the room. This was their chance, but Sarah's heart hammered again, uncertainty shadowing her pulse. She could sense a turning point ahead, but at what cost? What if he pulls away? Kim voiced the unspoken fear. What if we can't reach him? Then we try harder. For every door that closes, we'll open 10 more, James replied fiercely. This is bigger than us now. It's about lives. We fight for them. The doorbell rang, echoing down the hall, pulling Sarah from her thoughts. Her eyes flicked anxiously to the clock, then back to her friends. They had a chance to shine a light against the darkness, breaking the silence that so many suffered in as they moved toward the door. Anticipation crackled in the air. Sarah could feel the weight of change hanging just outside, ready to breach their world. Who was waiting for them on the other side? As Sarah reached for the doorknob, her stomach flipped. She exchanged hesitant glances with James, Kim, and Lily, all silently sharing the same surge of trepidation. The door creaked open, revealing a weathered man standing there. His face was lined with worry, and he wore an old jacket that looked like it had been patched a few too many times. "Mr. Lawson?" James stepped forward, voice steady yet warm, reaching out for a handshake. The man nodded, glancing over his shoulder as if ensuring they were alone. "Please come in," Sarah said, her voice inviting but her heart raced, fear and hope entwined. Mr. Lawson hesitated, caught between the gravity of his situation and their earnest expressions. Once inside, the tension thickened. They gathered in the living room, the furniture cramped yet intimate. The air felt electric, saturated with emotions unspoken. Mr. Lawson took a seat, the weight of the world resting heavily on his shoulders. "I appreciate you meeting me," he began, his voice rough like gravel. "We're here to help," James offered. "We know about the housing issues and what you're going through." Mr. Lawson stiffened, wariness filling the space. "You shouldn't get involved. This is dangerous. They're watching me." His eyes darted to the window, fear knitting his brows together. "Trust is vital. We just want to hear your side, what we can do," Sarah said. Her vulnerability was palpable, aimed at bridging the gap of skepticism. Slowly, he relaxed. "It started with a tip from an old friend in City Hall. I found documents, proof of misuse of funds, bribery. I was ready to blow the whistle," he confessed, and a slight shudder rippled through him. "But then threats became more than just words. I had to keep my family safe." "What kind of threats?" Lily asked, her voice low and steady. "Phone calls in the night, shadowy figures near our home. They know everything, my kids' school schedules, my day job. I worried I'd put them in harm's way just by speaking out." Sarah watched him closely, her chest tightening. "You're in the right. You shouldn't have to endure this alone. They can't silence you forever." "Are you sure?" His gaze flickered, searching for conviction. "What if I let you down? What if I make things worse?" "This isn't on you, it's on them," James asserted. "They're the ones committing the crime. But you need to stand firm. We'll support you, whatever it takes." At those words, a glimmer of hope flickered in Mr. Lawson's eyes, but it was accompanied by a wave of despair too. "I don't want to drag anyone else into this mess. My family's life is in danger already. What if we make it a community issue?" Kim interjected, leaning forward. "If we raise awareness, we can shine a light on the corruption. The more people that know, the harder it'll be for them to operate in shadows." "But what if I don't want to expose my family to more risk?" His voice trembled. Silence followed, the weight of that question resonating through each of them. They were all grappling with the same fear. How to protect those they loved while fighting for what was right. Sarah's mind raced. She understood his hesitation. The fragility of family was a thread too easily snapped. Yet, if they didn't risk something, would they see change at all? "We can fight this together, but we need your voice. The world needs to know about the corruption and the unjust treatment of families like yours," she urged. Just then, Mr. Lawson's phone buzzed on the table, vibrating with an ominous urgency. He glanced at the screen, his eyes widening. There was a message there that rattled him to his core. "It's them," he breathed, a chill running through the air. "They know I met with you." Fear gripped Sarah as she exchanged glances with the others, their determination mingling with dread. The stakes had just skyrocketed. "Now we really need to move," James said, his voice fierce with urgency. "We can't let this go unanswered." The four of them sat around Mr. Lawson as he gathered himself, but the shadows of danger loomed larger. How far were they willing to go, and would the truth be worth the risk? Mr. Lawson's phone buzzed again, a steady reminder that time was slipping away. He looked at the screen, anxiety etched into every line of his face. "What do I do?" he whispered, eyes wide with panic. "First, we need to get you out of here," James said, his voice steady. He glanced at the door, worried that every second lingering in this tight room could be their last. "We can't take the risk of them coming here and finding us." "But where can I go?" Mr. Lawson's voice trembled. "I can't stay with anyone I know. They could be watching." "We'll figure it out," Kim reassured him. "We just need a little time to think." She stood and paced, her shoulders tense, the sounds of her footsteps echoing like gunshots in the heavy air. Sarah felt the desperation in her heart. She looked to Mr. Lawson, his burden so heavy it threatened to crush him. She reached across the table, her hand resting on his. You have to trust us, she urged gently. We're here for you and your family. You won't face this alone. He met her gaze, and for a moment it seemed that glimmer of hope sparked just a little brighter. What do you have in mind? A safe house, James suggested, his mind racing. We can get you out of town until the heat dies down. But how? Mr. Lawson asked, worry pooling in his eyes. What if they find me there? Then we don't go through it alone, Lily chimed in. We'll bring in others, trusted folks. The more of us, the safer it is. Mr. Lawson sighed deeply, uncertainty marked in his brow. I don't want you all to get hurt because of me. Too late for that, Kim said. A half smile breaking through the tension. We're already in this. And we're not backing down. There was a long pause, the kind filled with unsaid words, and Mr. Lawson looked down, absorbing the weight of their resolve. All right. But I need to protect my family first and foremost. Then let us plan, Sarah said, emboldened by his decision. We can secure a place for you and your family. We'll have to move quickly. We need to contact our allies, get them involved. Suddenly, Mr. Lawson's phone buzzed again, cutting through their resolve like a knife. He jumped, his face paling. What if they know where I am? They may already know, James replied, posture firm and unwavering. But we haven't done anything yet. It's time to act before they tip the scales. Get your family organized and we'll meet back here in an hour. Let us keep communication discreet, Kim added. No texts, no calls. If you have to reach us, use a burner. Mr. Lawson nodded. Panic danced in his eyes, but there was also a flicker of determination. He had a purpose now, a chance to take control back. This isn't just about me anymore, he said, voice unexpectedly strong. It's about everyone affected. We need to expose their lies. Yes, Sarah affirmed, her heart swelling with pride. And we'll do it together. Just remember, one step at a time. We will keep your family safe. Thank you, Mr. Lawson trailed off, the gratitude unmistakable. Little did they know, outside, shadows shifted against the wall of the house. Narrow figures watched and listened, waiting for the moment to strike. The moment of truth is coming, James said, gathering everyone's attention. It's time to go. As Mr. Lawson stood to leave, ready to face the unknown, Sarah caught his eye one last time. Fear and hope mingled, and she felt it deep in her bones. This was just the beginning. But what if they weren't the only ones who had plans to expose the crooked world around them? They weren't just fighting for justice. They were drawing the line against a force that was more powerful than they ever imagined. Would they come out on the other side unscathed? The tiny room felt suffocating as everyone moved with urgency. Each breath was heavy, weighted down by the gravity of their situation. Mr. Lawson cast a wary glance at the door once more before he steeled himself. Let us move, he said, determination coloring his voice. The group tensed, ready to spring into action. Sarah felt a rush of adrenaline coursing through her as she followed him out into the hallway, each step echoing loudly against the walls. Kim took the lead, pushing open the back door. Stay close and remember quiet, she instructed. The air outside smelled of rain, a clear sign of a storm coming. Dark clouds loomed overhead, an omen of the troubles brewing not just in the skies but in their lives as well. Mr. Lawson had his car parked a few blocks away, tucked under a large oak tree. They made their way, hearts pounding, senses heightened. Each rustle in the bushes made them jump slightly. There was a feeling that something or someone was watching, lurking in the shadows. Here, Mr. Lawson whispered as he unlocked the car. They hurried inside, the vehicle feeling like a brief shelter from the storm both outside and within. It felt claustrophobic, but there was a sense of safety in the tight space. As Mr. Lawson started the engine, James took a deep breath, trying to ease the tension. We need to call our allies, set things in motion. The sooner the better. Which allies? Mr. Lawson asked, furrowing his brow. Who can we trust? We can't risk it. We've built a network over the years, James urged. People we know have our backs. We need to reach out to them, but we'll do it carefully. We can't leave breadcrumbs for them to follow. It was a terrifying thought. The way the world seemed to conspire against Mr. Lawson felt suffocating, like the walls were closing in. But they didn't have the luxury to surrender to fear. Let South just drive, Kim said, breaking the tense silence. We can figure things out on the road. We need a plan before we meet up with anyone. Head towards the old warehouse. It's secluded and off the grid. Mr. Lawson nodded, pulling away from the curb and merging into the stream of cars. Sarah reached out and squeezed his hand, her heart aching for him. You're doing great. We'll get through this, I promise. What mattered most was that they were together solidifies a bond of trust. It felt precarious, but they were united by something bigger. They needed to get his family to safety first before any plans for exposure could be made. A sudden flash from the rearview mirror made Mr. Lawson's heart skip. He squinted, ensuring it wasn't a trick of the light. His breath caught in his throat. A black car was tailing them, dark windows hiding the faces within. Are we being followed? Just stay calm, James replied, a tremor evident in his voice. Don't look back. We can outsmart them. The car's presence loomed like a shadow, pressing against them, even as the rain began to pour. The droplets hammered against the windshield like tiny fists, demanding entrance. Turn here, Kim shouted suddenly, pointing to a side road. He's south too close, Sarah urged, fear bubbling in her throat. Now, Kim's voice cut through the tension, and with a swift motion Mr. Lawson obeyed, turning sharply. The tires screeched, rubber burning against the pavement. They sped onto a less traveled road, hoping the twisty path would give them some advantage. Every second felt like an eternity, but as the trees began to close in around them, they felt the veil of hope slowly settling in. Just keep driving. We'll lose them, James said, though there was doubt creeping into his mind. But they were not alone. They were fighting against more than just the shadows. The realization sank deep within Sarah's chest. Then the chilling sound of a siren cut through the air. Their hearts dropped as the red and blue lights flashed behind them. Drive faster, Lily shouted, panic overtaking reason. Mr. Lawson pressed down on the accelerator, desperation fueling his need to protect his family. But they were running out of time. Where do we go if we can't lose them? Think. People. James called out, eyes darting, searching for an answer. What if Kim began, hesitating for a heartbeat? What if we turn into the old station? It's been abandoned for years. They might not find us there. Do it, James urged. As Mr. Lawson swung the car into the abandoned station, his heart raced faster than the engine. They could hear the siren's wail drawing closer. Would they make it? Would this place offer them the refuge they desperately needed? Sarah's thoughts raced as they parked behind a wall of overgrown weeds and debris, hiding the car from view. The silence that followed felt deafening, reality crashing down around them. Would they stop here, or would this lead them into a trap? What lay beneath the surface of everything going on was a terrifying truth. Someone out there wanted them to fail, and they had to unravel the threads of this danger before it tightened its grip. Are we safe? Breathed Mr. Lawson, worry etched all over his face, before anyone could answer. A shadow passed outside the car's fogged window, drawing their attention. Get down, James hissed, as the world outside promised danger lurked just beyond the walls. Would their fight for justice soon turn into a fight for survival? A heavy silence settled in the car as they all crouched low, breath catching in their throats. Sarah felt her heart hammering in her chest, an amplified rhythm of fear and hope. The shadow moved past again, a figure too close for comfort. Was it a friend or foe? Stay quiet, Mr. Lawson whispered, his voice barely above a breath. It felt as if time stopped, the air thick with tension, every rustle outside an unwelcome reminder of their precarious situation. Through the fogged glass, Sarah caught a glimpse, broad shoulders, dark clothing, methodical movements. It was like watching a predator circle its prey. She pulled her knees to her chest, trying to suppress the shiver running down her spine. Let us not panic, Kim murmured, her voice steadier than Sarah felt. We'll stay hidden. Just wait until he leaves. But anticipation gnawed at them, an insatiable hunger for action. I can't just sit here, Sarah said, her voice shaky. We need a plan. What if he finds us? Should James snapped, his frustration evident. But it was a desperate plea, one they all felt but couldn't express. The figure outside paused for a moment, scanning the area. Mr. Lawson's grip tightened on the steering wheel, knuckles turning white against the car's worn leather. If he sees us, he didn't have to finish the thought. It hung in the air like a cold blade. Then, just as quickly as he had arrived, the figure turned and walked away, disappearing behind the dilapidated remnants of the station. The tension in the car shifted slightly, but it didn't dissolve. We need to move, Kim said, her strategic mind still racing. If we stay here, it'll just be a matter of time before someone else comes looking. Mr. Lawson nodded, the lines on his forehead deepening as he contemplated their next move. We can't go back the way we came. Let us head to the back of the station. There's a path that leads through the woods, maybe we can lose them that way. He shifted into gear with a resolute click, but just as he did, the sound of footsteps approached again. This time, heavy and deliberate, echoing off the crumbling brick. Get down! James hissed again, pushing everyone into a huddle, hearts pounding as the footsteps grew louder. Sarah could taste the fear on her tongue. Mr. Lawson turned to them, his eyes glistening with determination. We'll have to take our chances. On the count of 3 we make a break for it. Time felt stretched, heartbeats ticking in slow motion as he counted down 1, 2, 3. They burst out of the car, adrenaline fueling their movements. The rain had soaked the ground, making it easier to slip through the emergency exit at the back, but the mud was thick and sticky, pulling at their shoes as they hurried into the underbrush. They pressed against the trees, their bodies hidden in the shadows as they listened. The siren had faded into the distance, but the threat remained close. The dark figure might still be lurking somewhere. Keep moving, Kim whispered, her eyes scanning the woods for any signs of danger. They ducked low and ran, hearts racing, limbs trembling with exertion and fear. Suddenly, Sarah heard a crash behind them. The figure had entered the station. In that moment, everything seemed to tighten around her. What if he finds us? Push forward, Mr. Lawson urged, but his voice faltered. He knew as well as Sarah that the real danger lay behind them, and the uncertainty hung like a heavy FOS as they navigated deeper into the trees. Sarah felt the weight of their circumstances. Friends became shadows and family meant everything, but now they were separated from everything normal. Do you think we can make it out? She asked between ragged breaths, glancing back at Mr. Lawson. He paused, a flicker of uncertainty showing in his eyes, but he quickly masked it with resolve. We have to try. Together we'll make it through. Before they could think much further, a distant shout carried through the air, a jarring reminder that they weren't alone. The ground began to tremble underfoot, a promise of escalation rising within her like a storm. Just beyond the next curve, they might find safety or face the storm head. On as shadows danced among the trees, Sarah wondered what fate awaited them. Would they escape this hidden nightmare? Or was it too late to turn back? Her heart raced, demanding to know. Who were they really running from? And would they ever unveil the truth that soaked their lives in fear? The dim light of dawn broke through the trees, illuminating the path before Sarah, Mr. Lawson, Kim, and Lily as they navigated silently through the underbrush. Exhausted and trembling, they moved cautiously, every rustle in the leaves turning their hearts to ice. Sarah's mind was a whirlwind of thoughts. They were in deep now, dragged into a fight they never intended to join. Keep moving, Mr. Lawson urged, glancing back to ensure they weren't being followed. The fear etched on his brow told Sarah how close they were to danger. They had escaped the figure in the station, but who knew what else lurked in the shadows? As they pressed on, they stumbled upon a clearing. The chill of the morning air pressed down, and visibility increased. Here they paused, catching their breath. Lily's gaze darted around, taking in the disarray of nature. Are we safe? She whispered, her small voice cracking. We need to find a place to regroup. A safe haven, Kim said, scanning the area. Somewhere we can think and decide our next move. Sarah felt an oppressive weight on her shoulders, the storm of unknown forces gathering, threatening to drown them deeper into despair. Mr. Lawson tapped his forehead with his fingers, eyes narrowing as he attempted to collect his thoughts. The reality of their situation finally settled in: a fight against forces powerful enough to endanger families. Would they rather stay hidden, or spark a movement? I have a friend out west. Far enough that no one would think to look. He can help, he finally said. Hope flickered, warm and welcoming. Is it safe? Sarah pressed, unsure whether the thought of leaving their hometown, the only ground she'd ever known, felt like a lifeline or another trap. Yes, he insisted, but we must be discreet. First, we need to find a way to contact him without drawing too much attention. We can't risk digital footprints, no calls or texts that could be traced. Let us head to the old cabin by the lake, Kim proposed, remembering their childhood escape. It's isolated and no one usually goes there anymore. We can make the call safely. Then let us go, Sarah declared, confidence swelling in her chest. They took another cautious look before plunging back into the thick foliage. Their hearts raced, but they had a plan, as fragile as it was. Together, they could find a way to fight back. As they approached the cabin, nestled among the towering pines, they felt both anxiety and relief wash over them. The creaking door opened to reveal a familiar sanctuary, dusty but still standing strong. It was a reminder of simpler times, filled with laughter and enchantment. Once it had been a canvas painted with joy. Now it felt like the last vestige of safety. Settle in. We need to keep our heads clear, Mr. Lawson instructed as they entered. There was a warmth in the room, a sense of security wrapping them tightly like a worn quilt. Sarah moved to a dusty window, peering out into the serene landscape cloaked in early morning light. They can't take our lives. Not like this, she whispered, determination swelling within her. We have each other, and together we're stronger than they think. Lily looked up, her innocence radiating hope. Nothing can break us, she declared, her small fists pressed against her heart. Mr. Lawson and Kim exchanged glances, a renewed energy coursing through them. The storm outside rumbled, a far-off reminder of the turmoil they still faced. But they know they were more than just victims now, they were fighters. Let us make that call, Mr. Lawson said, his voice firm. And we'll draw the line together. They gathered around the old, rickety table as Mr. Lawson dialed his friend's number using a burner phone, clinging to the fragments of hope that they could rise against the odds. The call seemed to stretch into infinity, but each moment brought them closer to securing their next step. As Mr. Lawson spoke quietly, they all watched him, breaths collectively held. When he hung up, a bright spark returned to his eyes. He is willing to help. We can meet him tonight at a diner across town. He knows people we can trust. Relief flooded Sarah, laughter bubbling to the surface as she felt the weight lifting, even if just a little. We're really going to do this? Absolutely, Kim beamed, catching the flicker of excitement in the air. But we need to keep low. Get supplies for the journey and secure a plan for when we get there. The moments went by in a flurry of activity as they packed up supplies, food, and water, simple items that felt monumental in obscuring their presence. Hours later they found themselves at a diner bathed in warm light, each gleam promising comfort. But the reality of the situation loomed like shadows waiting just outside. Alarm prickled at the base of Sarah's spine as they entered, each second a reminder of the danger that still lingered close. The booth was cozily nestled in the corner. Moments stretched, hearts beating in unison until their ally arrived, a scruffy man with kind eyes, wearing earthy tones that blended effortlessly with the surrounding ambience. He looked at Mr. Lawson with recognition. You made it, he grinned, extending a hand. This is it, Mr. Lawson said. Yet Sarah could see a glint of uncertainty behind his gratitude. This is our fight together. Their ally nodded, taking stock of each of them. You're brave. Together we'll expose the truth. But first we need to create a network. We'll spread the word about those corrupt systems people need to know. And just like that, as they huddled together in that small booth, Sarah realized that there was a real change unfolding. They were no longer just trying to evade the shadows. They were crafting a plan to step into the light. Hope flooded Sarah's chest as she imagined their community rallying behind them. We can start a movement, she stated firmly, to protect families like Mr. Lawson's. This isn't just about us anymore, it's about justice. In that moment something shifted, an invisible flame igniting in their hearts. They began throwing ideas around, voices blending together. With every word spoken, the walls of fear melted away. Outside, the sky began to clear, letting rays of sunlight filter through. The storms were still brewing but felt lighter somehow, as if they had made the first steps toward transformation. Would they face fierce winds again? Certainly. But they now had a chance to bring change, to bridge the gaps and heal the rifts strong enough to stand against injustice. They were ready. They were no longer hiding. They were lighting their torches to guide others through the darkness. So here is the call to action for you. This is the moment to step up. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss out on our next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this momentum going. Your acknowledgement makes a real difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending because we want to hear from you. And most importantly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to spread the message of hope and resilience. Don't wait not even one more second to support this channel. True fans understand the power of creating change together.